You're listening to the Focused and Fearless podcast. I'm your host, Heather Angel, and I've been helping people tune into what lights them up and increase their personal and professional performance for over a decade. Now I'm best known as a high-performance coach helping entrepreneurs like you cut through the noise and create a business and life on your terms. If you're ready to step out of struggle and discover how simple it can be to create a fulfilling, joyful, and successful business without all the overwhelm and long hours, you're in the right place.
Hey gorgeous, happy Monday or whatever day it is that you're listening to this episode. It's Sunday afternoon actually when I'm recording this. I've come up to record a few episodes, back to some together. But my gosh, I'm actually doing this as a bit of a break because I made a huge mistake this morning. I'm sure a few of you will be listening to this and will empathise. I'm sure you've done the same. I woke up this morning, loads of energy. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm just going to boss the day. I'm going to do loads of things. And I decided I was going to totally sort out my house. I'm homeschooling the kids now and, just working from home and everything. The house is just a mess. There's just stuff everywhere. So I was like, I'm going to sort it all out. So I have spent the past couple of hours emptying out drawers, bringing out all the board games, putting the sofas out. And then once I did that, I lost the momentum. I didn't want to do it anymore. So I have now got my front lounge room. I've just got boxes in it of board games and the sofa's all askew because I'm like, oh, I'll go behind and clean there. I don't want to do that anymore. So I've actually was like, right, I'm going to go and record some podcast episodes because that's fun. I like doing that. And hopefully my motivation to sort all of that stuff out will return by the time I go back downstairs from the office. So this episode is actually a little bit different. I thought I would share with you a training that I delivered for my Focused and Fearless members. It's really short, and the reason I'm sharing this with you is because it's all about managing your energy. And this is a conversation that needs to be had with anyone that's working with other humans. Honestly, if you are a coach or a consultant or a therapist, this is essential. And it's something you must be doing before working on group coaching calls or with private clients. But also, I think it's really important to know that our energy can get depleted by other people. It's not just a thing for introverts, okay? It doesn't matter whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. Our energy gets depleted or built up by being around other people and by doing what we do. So in this training, and it's really short, it's 15 minutes, so it's a nice short episode for you again, because I know a lot of you say to me that you listen to this on the school run or on your drive to work. So, it's a nice short episode, but I'm going to go through how you can protect your energy so that you can be the very best coach, consultant, therapist, whatever profession you're in, so you can be the very best for your clients, because that's what we all want, isn't it? To give the very best to our clients. And if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know I like a few alternative options. So there is some sort of spiritual practices, if you like, if you want to call them those, but there is also some very simple, tangible techniques that you can use to protect your energy so that you can serve your clients to the very best of your abilities. So I'm going to let you dive into that. It's really informal. I know all of my members really well, so it is more of a conversation, very similar to this podcast, but I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get some benefit out of it. And of course, as always, if you have any other questions, you can always find me on Instagram. Just send me a DM and I will be happy to help. All right, my gorgeous, let's dive in. Hello, my lovelies. I wanted to give you this extra bonus training about looking after your energy as a coach. Many of you are coaches, mentors, you're consulting with people, and it can be incredibly draining on you and can leave you feeling depleted when you are working with a lot of clients back to back, or you are doing lots of group coaching calls and you don't protect your energy sufficiently. Okay, what I don't want is for you to burn out and get exhausted serving other people, because that's not going to serve you, your business, or your clients in any way at all. So some of these things are going to be a little bit woo, but you're used to that. So they're going to be a little bit alternative, but there are some practical things for you to do as well. So the very first thing I want you to do before you sit down and work with a client is to clear the energy of the room and clear your energy. So what I mean by this is it may be that you have had a really busy morning. You've been working on different projects. Maybe you've been talking to your assistant. Maybe you've been doing different things, rushing about from meeting to meeting, all those kind of things. And then you've got an afternoon of clients. So it's really not going to serve you or them if you get to your desk and your brain is still, and your energy is still dashing around from these meetings, or is, rushing back from the school run, whatever it might be for you. You need to be in the best state possible to serve your clients, because, I get really passionate about this. Those clients have paid you money and they have paid for your time and your expertise, and it is our responsibility as coaches, mentors, consultants, whatever it is, whatever field you're in, to give our clients the very best that we can. So clear your energy. So the way you can do this is what I do is I have some sage or Palo Santo, depends on what kind of mood I'm in, and I will burn that and I will waft it around the room, and I'll have the windows open, and at the same time of clearing the energy using the sage, I will set an intention for the call. Now, it will depend on which client I'm going to be working with on what intention I will set. However, the one thing that is always in my intention is to be open to receiving the messages my client needs to hear. This is so vital. I think it's really important, because when we are coaching people, we can get a little bit in our own heads. We can be listening to the words they're saying and going, all right, okay, yeah, I know what that problem is. I can help them with my 6-step process, or I'll just give them this, or this is what they need. That actually doesn't serve the client nearly as well as you truly hearing what they're saying. And this takes practice. And if you're new to coaching, this will be something that a skill set that you will just learn. It will develop over time. But if you've been coaching for a while, you'll probably 100% know what I'm talking about. It's why it's so important to set the intention for that session. And it might be that you need to be calm and patient and open and loving. Maybe you need to send love and healing to that client. It depends, what kind of coaching and therapy you're doing. But always be open to the messages that you need to deliver to that client. Okay, because it's not our job as coaches to have the answers. It's our job to facilitate that client, isn't it? To help them find the answers, find the solutions, have their own breakthroughs and their own discoveries. We are purely the guides. So always setting the intention for that call to, and it might just be, maybe you're a consultant, maybe it's not as in depth with the coaching. You might just want to be like, right, I want to be on top form. I want to have high energy. I want this client to have a really fun experience. It might be a very different situation, but always set the intention for that call so that you are putting out into the universe, if you want to say, but you are putting your energy in a really good place to serve that client to the best of your abilities for that session. So you're setting the intention, you're clearing the energy. Now, you do not have to burn sage. You don't have to buy Palo Santo. It's fine if you don't want to do that. If you're like, Heather, you're crazy, no worries. That's absolutely fine. But open a window, maybe burn some essential oils if that's more your thing. A bit of peppermint, have that going, having some rose. I do always have a rose spray. If I don't have time to do the sage, I'll use some rose spray in the room, and I'll just move around, waft it around the room, so that the energy of the room feels really, really good, really refresh, and is a good energy for the call. Now, obviously, if you are meeting in a public space, you can't do that because you might look a bit weird. Although I have been known to take my rose spray and just do a little spritz while no one's looking. But you can't start burning sage in a pub or a coffee shop or something if that's where you're meeting your client. So just do what you can, but you can always set that intention. That's something you can do silently, just sat waiting for your client. And that takes me on to the next thing. Always allow yourself to have a few moments before your client is going to arrive, or before you hit open on the Zoom button, to take some deep breaths. Okay, take some deep, calming breaths. As I said at the beginning, you may have had a very, very busy morning. You might have been rushing from one thing to the next, or maybe you've got a whole day of client calls and you've just dropped the kids off and you're just frantic, and you need to make sure, this is why it's so important to do the setting the intentions and clearing the energy, to take those deep breaths, to take a moment so that you are calm and 100% present mentally, emotionally, physically in this moment to serve that client. So it's really important to take a few deep breaths, center yourself, and then you can start the call. Now, I'm going to give you a little extra thing here, but this, I know this is going to sound a little bit strange for a few of you, but I know some of you love the woo, so let's go for it. I also imagine myself in a protective bubble. Okay, this is essential. I had a client a few years ago who, her backstory that led into her setting up her business breaks my heart. It's heartbreaking. There was loss. Absolutely broke my heart. If I hadn't done this protective bubble shielding, which I'm going to explain to you now, I would have ended up blubbering on the call. I would have just cried throughout, which is not what someone needs when they've come to you for help and support. So it's really important to protect yourself in a bubble. So what am I talking about? What I want you to do is just visualize yourself, and you can do this physically. You can imagine zipping yourself up in like a protective bubble from your feet all the way to the top of your head. I'm doing the action, you can't see me, but you can just imagine yourself being protected by this invisible bubble all around you. Now you can, I've heard people say, oh, it needs to be a gold bubble, a white bubble, a purple bubble. I don't care what color it is. Have it rainbow color if you like. But what it is a protective bubble that you are encased in. And what this is going to do is this is going to allow you to hear and receive what your client is saying, but their emotions and their energy is not going to penetrate your energy field. Okay? I told you it's a little bit out there, but it works because you have to protect your own energy. You are there as a professional. And if I use the example like I did before, this client was in tears. Her story was heart-wrenching. I had to, and I absolutely, during that call, I imagine as she was saying these words, I was like, oh, hang on, I'm going to get emotional. And I just visualized her words coming through. I was hearing them, but it was bouncing off my bubble. It was bouncing off the shield. I wasn't allowing those emotions to penetrate my energy so that I wouldn't sit there and be a blubbering mess. Okay, it's really, really important. And again, if you might have a client that's really angry, maybe something's happened in their life that they're just like, really struggling. You do not want to be absorbing that kind of energy. So I always put myself in a little bubble, and it can be like, again, if you're out in public, it may look kind of strange if you kind of bend down to your toes and then touch the top of your head like you're zipping yourself up. You can just visualize it, in your mind's eye. Imagine yourself encapsulated in this beautiful bubble so that you are protected and you are able to serve that client to the best of your abilities without absorbing their emotions and their energy. So that's what I would suggest you do before a call. Now, I know that sounds like it's taken me 9 minutes to explain that. That can be done in a couple of minutes, okay? This doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out process. That can literally be done in a couple of minutes. Now, after the call, this is really important. If you've followed those steps that I've just gone through, after the call, you should be feeling really good. But it's really imperative that after you've taken your notes or uploaded them to wherever you need to move. Okay, you need to realign your energy. You need to shift the energy. If you're sensitive to energy like I am, I can absolutely feel the energy in a room change. Sometimes if it's been a really powerful session with someone, the heat in my office is insane. It's like the energy, I can feel the air. So I'll open the window, burn some sage, kind of go through the same steps to clear the energy. Now, in that time, I'm also moving. I've moved, I've gone and topped up my water. I've actually moved my body. If I've got time, and especially if it was a quite a challenging session in any way, I'll put on some music, get on some dance music, just move around my office a little bit. And then if I have time, I'll be burning the sage. But otherwise, I might just do a couple of spritz of rose oil and just, waft that around. It's a really good high vibrational scent. And that can change the energy of the room. It certainly does for me. Choose a scent that you like. I don't think, people get really precious about all this woo-woo stuff. Use any scent you like. Peppermint's a great one. I used to use peppermint as well. Kind of really, it helps sort of aliven the energy in the room. So you can use peppermint. Use any scent you like if you don't have sage to burn or if you don't like the idea of doing that. So you're clearing the energy in the room, and you're also moving, so you're clearing your energy. And then you go back on your call for the next person, and again, you set the intention, you do your deep breaths, you put yourself in your bubble, and then you're off to the races. You're ready to go to serve that next client to the best of your ability. Now, the last thing that you can do, and again, this is a little bit more woo, but I learned this originally when I trained in Reiki. If you feel like you're still attached to that client, or if you feel like, it doesn't have to be a soul client, it could be a group coaching call. And, this happens for me when I deliver your group coaching calls in the evening, when we do the 7:30 one. Oh my gosh, I'm usually buzzing after those because I love them so much. But if I don't actually go through this cord cutting process and actually bring myself back down to center, I won't be asleep until like 1, 2 in the morning because I'm just too hyper off all the energy from the call. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is cutting the cords. And what that is, and again, you can Google this. There are lots of different ways you can do it. Some of them seem massively overcomplicated, in my opinion. I just think keep it nice and simple. All you need to do, and I do this pretty much after every evening coaching call with you guys, because I do need to separate myself from your energy, is I will imagine the call. So it might be, sometimes I'll imagine the Zoom screen, or if there was a particular person on that call that I had, they're sort of still very prominent in my mind, I will imagine them specifically, and I will imagine that there is a cord going from my torso to their torso. Okay? And all I do is I imagine them, and I've got my eyes shut and I'm imagining this, and then I just take some scissors and I cut the cord, and in my imagination they just kind of disappear. They kind of like turn into glitter and disappear. Now, again, you can Google it. There's probably loads of different ways you can do that. That's how I do it. And again, this is a really good one to do. It may be a couple of days later after you've worked with a client that they're still in your mind, like something, or they keep popping into your mind. Now, you'll know that sometimes you guys will pop into my mind and I'm like, there's something I need to do, or that, there's a reason you're popping into my mind, and I will just send you a DM and be like, hey, how's everything going? You keep popping into my mind. And so funny, because so often you're like, oh, actually, I've been really struggling with this. I was going to message you, or, this has happened. So sometimes it can just be divine guidance saying, you need to get in contact with your client. There's something that needs to be resolved. But other times it can be just you're connected to their energy and you need to disconnect. So cutting the cords works well at any stage. It also works well, FYI, if you've been around friends or family that have driven you slightly crazy and you just like, oh, I just need to move away from their energy. So the bubble exercise works great if you're, visiting friends or family that maybe sometimes get on your nerves a little bit or kind of zap your energy. And the cutting the cords works really well as well. So it's multifunctional. So that is your little bonus training. I hope it really helps. As always, if you've got any questions or you want to talk through any of this, ask me on the group coaching calls. For the premium members, you can ask me on your private calls, and of course you can always post anything in the Facebook group. So I hope that was really helpful, and let me know how you get on with it.
Thank you for listening to the Focused and Fearless podcast. If you'd like to continue the conversation or have a question that you would like answered in an upcoming episode, head over to Instagram and connect with me at Heather Angel Coaching. If you enjoy this podcast, please share your thoughts in a review on iTunes. I truly value your feedback and I take the time to read every single review. Have a beautiful week, and I'll see you in the next episode.